it's supposed to feel.
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the NS9 postgame show brought to you by Pittsburgh Baseball Now. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got our co-host, Jim Rosati on, and we got another L, Jimbo.
But we also got a W. I mean,
Yeah.
are we talking about both games or just the one today?
We'll talk about both, but, recency bias. The L's fresh, and it was a frustrating loss. But I guess you could say we split the series, the 2-game, 1-day series with the Reds today. So there's that.
Yeah, it was a weird series. I think the one game was a makeup from like before the year started, and another game was a rain delay. So
right,
yeah, they had to make it a day-night doubleheader so that they could squeeze the dozens and dozens of Reds fans, into the stands.
Dozens and dozens. I know. I mean, they can't sell out their stadium like, the Pirates.
Right. Yeah. I don't know who these guys think they are.
Why do they have a parade every year celebrating opening day?
It is pretty awesome, though, if you haven't been to it.
I actually never have.
Yeah.
But anyways. Oh, I never tweeted out the link. Let me do that real quick. And
I was trying, actually, that was why I was a little distracted there. I was trying to tweet out a link while talking to you simultaneously.
Welcome to my life every day. See, it's tough being a producer, the star of the show, the most knowledgeable person in this room.
Well, you're in a room by yourself.
Glad you picked up on that. But anyways. Yeah, so I guess let's talk about the first one. We'll talk about the good stuff.
Okay.
We'll talk about the bad stuff, which is the second game, and then we'll talk about the ugly, which is maybe some transactions that happened today. Gosh. So the good thing. So the Pirates win the very first game.
Roansy Contreras was great. So like coming off of his rough outing last time out, today was maybe the best we've seen him all year. Definitely the best we've seen him look in quite some time. But like the fastball was working, the slider was working really well. He was generating tons of swings and misses off that slider. Mm-hmm. He was using that really as like a put away pitch. But yeah, 6 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, only 4 hits and 1 walk allowed. That's it. Probably one of his best games so far as a pro.
Certainly was. It certainly was one. I was trying to think right off the top of my head, but that was the best one. Debatable, but either way, it's definitely one of his better ones. I mean, the numbers have been there for quite some time for him, but it seems like every time we were talking about his start, it's like, well, the numbers were good, but he didn't look like he had his best stuff. Today, it seemed like it all was clicking for him.
Yeah, like I said, he looked great today. Best I've seen him in a while.
Certainly. Mm-hmm. Yep. So Roansy looks good. The Pirates do win 4-2. There was a little bit of offense. I mean, Chavis came through with a 2 RBI double. All they need is a little bit. Deo Castillo had the big home run to break up the no-no.
Yeah. I mean, they were just getting mowed down by Mike Minor until the 5th inning. Deo Castillo broke it with his 9th home run of the year, which gave him his 7th home run out of his last 10 hits.
Right. Oh, boy.
Doesn't do anything. He only hits home runs.
He does. He just hits home runs. Like I jokingly say, I mean, he's on that chopping block. I mean, he's one of the few guys remaining that's, if you're looking about, we talk about like Newman's going to be coming up. Obviously, Merznick's going to be coming up soon. So, I mean, Deo Castillo is certainly in the talks and conversations about if he's going to get optioned down. So, it's like he wants to stay. I mean, he hits big home runs, but like that's all he does.
That is. It's all he does. And in his competition for a roster spot,
We're gonna
I guess
save
that'll
ugly.
we'll save the ugly. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Please. I'm not ready.
But no, I mean Castillo delivered. I said he also had a double later in the game, but the big hit I think was that Michael Chavis double that really kind of broke things open because with the way that Contreras was pitching, they had a fully rested bullpen from last night. That kind of sealed the deal there, helped seal the deal in the 6th.
Yep. Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, it was a good pitching duel. Unfortunately, I mean, out of Roansy Contreras, we know his talent, so we could expect this. But I mean, Mike Minor, you did that to the Pirates. The Pirates couldn't. We understand how bad the Pirates' offense is. Like, it's not great. Certainly not spectacular. So I understand they're gonna have problems, and they've had problems. But I mean, come on, this is a terrible pitcher, and he had a no-hitter going into the 5th.
Yeah, there were a few terrible pitchers who did well today on both sides.
Yeah, true. We can talk about the other one on the Pirates team in a second here. But yeah, but here's the thing too. I mean, it's so funny how now obviously yesterday against Severino was a little bit different, but like the Pirates just go and dominate the Dodgers this year. They played well against the Yankees the first game, obviously the second game, which was more or less because of terrible pitching in the bullpen later in the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you guys talked last night, like it was a competitive game more or less till the 8th inning. I know they were down 5-0, but it wasn't way out of touch. But they do that, and they go against Cincinnati. They face Mike Minor, and they're no hit through 5. Of course, it's the most piratey thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, they eventually got to him. So they chased him in the 7th with 4 runs.
Yep.
So they ended up getting there. It just took them a while. You know what?
Let's back off a little bit. Let's give them their excuse. I mean, it was a late night. They didn't get in. They had to wake up early. It's a late start for them. So I guess I can get at it.
Yeah. I mean, just based off of our late podcast we had last night, I understand what they were going through.
Yeah. And I thank you guys. As you said, you guys you really pull through.
We do. We come through in the clutch.
Yeah.
We're like the anti Brian Reynolds.
Yeah, this entire team in the clutch. But yeah, I mean the first game. So also kudos to Mr. Delay getting his very first hit in the MLB, also his very first RBI. And let's talk about that throw he had to second to get that out. Again, was it Tommy Pham he threw out?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you want to talk about money. I mean, that's putting it that was just so pretty. I mean, that glove never had to move. It just went here. The ball just fell in the glove, got the tag, done. I want to talk a little about Delay here. And the reason I want to talk about Delay is he's not good. I'm not here saying like Jason Delay is the future catcher of this team. But all I simply want to say is for the little bit of time that we've seen him and also just hearing what he's about, right? I mean, it's not like either you or I have like really watched him in the minors or like kept a close eye, right? But I feel he is competent defensively. And that alone makes me want to see him and just fire Michael Perez into the sun.
I guess my only thing there would be is it's not like Jason Delay was hitting at all in AAA.
He doesn't.
Doesn't at all.
He doesn't.
Like he's a worse AAA hitter than Michael Perez is a major league hitter.
Correct.
I know Michael Perez is really bad, but like that's a pretty substantial difference to me.
I guess where I'm at is instead of just being bad at everything, at least he's good defensively. And I mean, if you're looking at like the rankings, I guess I'm comfortable with Heineman as like the starting catcher, more or less, opposed to like Michael Perez, which, they've been splitting time back and forth, of course, now the paternity leave, and such. But like,
yeah, like if you have to pick one,
the catching situation is horrendous.
Yeah,
it's horrendous, right? So, of the bad, I just feel like I would rather have Heineman and Jason DeLay because both seem competent defensively. And that's good enough for me because at least that'll help out the pitching. At least that'll help out other aspects of the game instead of just being bad everywhere. So your catcher position goes 0 for 4 that night. The whole team goes 0 for 4. You know what I mean? At least help out defensively. And I guess that's just where I'm at.
I would be completely fine with it.
Okay. Well, then we can move on because we don't need to delay this podcast any further.
We don't need to
about
spend
Jason
any
DeLay.
more time on Jason DeLay.
Right.
Good for him.
But I just wanted to get that out there. I would rather see him on this club.
I'd be cool with it.
Cool. All right. As Dave says, worst catching that I've seen from the Pirates in 47 years. I mean, probably. I couldn't imagine it being any worse.
Yeah, because I mean, you had Kendall forever in the 90s, in the early 2000s. Then you had Ryan Domit, who couldn't catch, but he could hit. Like, he was a pretty good hitter. And then
he's like the anti. He's like the opposite.
The anti. Yes.
Right.
He's the anti Jason DeLay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want him, but in reverse.
All right. No, I'm cool with that. Listen, I think Heineman, like if you have to choose between Heineman and Perez, I'm going Heineman just purely from, the defensive aspect because Heineman is better defensively than Perez. But yeah, if we're just done with Perez, I'm fine with DeLay over Perez. I would have no issues with that.
Okay. Good enough. So moving on. I mean, the first game, like it was really just the pitching, as we talked. So Dwayne Underwood came in, also had a good outing. As I keep trying to tout him, like he isn't bad. He's not like your closer. He's not like the 8th inning guy, but he's certainly a serviceable guy in a bullpen. I still like what I see out of him. He comes in, does a thing. Will Crow comes in, he gives up a run, and then Bednar does close it out. As well. So like the bullpen did their job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good game by the bullpen. Crow ran into a little bit of a hiccup there, but was able to keep the game out of reach.
Yeah.
And Bednar, nice easy 9th inning.
Since that like first outing back, he has looked more or less himself. I'm less and less worried about him every time I see him out.
Yeah, no, he looked good today, and like you mentioned, he's looked good his last couple of outings. So hopefully, he just needed like those few days off, and now he's back to normal.
Yeah, I'm good with that. He just needed his ERA up a little more, just so he looked like human a little bit.
Right.
You don't want them testing his speed.
He felt bad for the rest of his teammates. Like his was so much better than theirs. He decided,
I get that. Like, when you're in school, right? And you like raise your hand all the time. So you knew every answer. And you're like, you know what? I'm answering so much. Because again, the smartest person in the room right now. So you just kind of keep your arms down. Like I know the answer, but I can't. I feel embarrassed. And that's David Bednar. So I understand.
Yeah, it's exactly it.
Gotcha. All right. Anything else from the first game?
Don't think so.
All right. So that's the good. So now we can move on to the bad. So we'll talk about the second game, which ironically was like the opposite, right? I mean, the Pirates game in the first game was looking bad to begin with, and then it got good. Second game was actually looking pretty good. Pirates, I mean, it wasn't like they're blown away, but they got on the board quickly, 1-0, extended the lead, and the Pirates are gonna win here. It's not looking. I guess I should say extended. It was 1-0.
Yeah, it was 1-0.
And they became 1-1 rather quickly. So never mind. But it wasn't too bad. Like it was looking positive to begin with. The pitching was good. And again, talking about Bryce Harper, as you want to talk about, that was our bad pitcher was looking good. But
Bryce Harper.
Yeah, Bryce Harper. I mean, it's what he looks like now. He's so good. If Bryce Harper is pitching, this is what he would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bryse Wilson.
I mean, so Bryse Wilson almost lowers his season ERA by 1 full run in this game. He went into it at 7.49. He ends it at 6.60. And yeah, I mean, he pitched outstanding. Even the seventh, like he went out for that 7th inning, and that's kind of when things fell apart. But it wasn't his fault.
Nothing to put any blame on him for, right?
Yeah, I mean, he got 4 outs in that inning, basically. And that still wasn't enough to get out of the inning. Like they needed 5 outs to get out of that 7th inning. So yeah, I'm not going to put really anything that happened in the 7th on him.
They needed 6. Should have been 5. He was still in there.
Yeah.
2 Van Meter situations.
Yep.
After the second one, he fully put on Van Meter, but
right.
he was involved in both.
Yeah. But yeah, ultimately just bad. And then Chris Stratton came in. He looked bad as well. Not a great outing there. Stratton has I'm wavering on him a little bit lately. I'm not as high on him as I was. He needs to string together some good games because right now, every time he goes out there, he's giving up hits.
Yeah. I should look at his game log. I almost feel almost as if it's always mixed, like good, bad, good, bad.
He's just so inconsistent.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'm not out here saying he's bad, because people have been saying he's bad for a while. Like you and I, like you've definitely been saying as well. It's like he's not. He's about the same, but it's one of those things. Like, but the results have to come, and it's just not really for Chris Stratton. So yeah, there's definitely some concern with him. But yeah, I mean, overall, and then let's talk about Stout. I mean, he was the acquisition from the Cubs. He got his call today. He got put into the game. What do you think?
Yeah,
about that?
sure.
Early talks.
First batter that he faced, he hit him. So that was.
But that was just sending a message. That's all it was.
I will say this: like when his slider was working, like he looked like he has a pretty good lefty slider. It looked pretty solid, but yeah, I mean, I have no long-term faith in the guy.
Okay, I mean, I'm willing to give him his shot.
I mean, I am
Cubs that also are kind of starting for pitching was like, hey, here's Stout for some cash consideration. So like, I'm not expecting much either from him, but this bullpen is starving for arms. So I'll give him his shot. I feel a lot better about him than Benuelos.
Sure.
Actually, they're probably about the same.
Yeah, I don't feel good about either of them.
Yeah.
They've both been in the minors for like 9 years.
Right. Okay. So fair enough. But he did the job today. So let's talk about the offense. Let's talk about the team here. Vogelbach still just on fire. I know like the hit streak is over per se, but 3 hits today, goes 3 for 4. I mean, he was struggling for a little bit there, right? And of course, that was after he come back from the IL. And there's talks like, is he really DH or whatnot? And I mean, he's just putting it all together again. I mean, Vogelbach's giving everything and more. I think that you could expect it from him this year.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could argue he's putting together his best season since his like all-star season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been. For just like a pure DH versus right-handed pitchers, he's doing just fine. Like, yeah, better than I would have expected.
Right. Yeah. So like on the year, a 121 rated. I can never say that. Weighted WRC plus. How about that?
Yeah.
A weighted runs created plus. So I mean, 21% better than league average, and for the deal he signed for too. I mean, you're making money on that one right now. Good job, Ben Cherington, for that signing. Yeah,
and the fact that they can bring him back next year for for the same amount.
Really cheap again. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, as of right now, that's an easy option to pick up. If he
I'm just going to throw
continues-
this out to you right now. I know the answer to it. I've seen some dialogue with it as well. But Vogelbach, he is doing better than you expected. He is signed for cheap. He has the year of control. Are you looking to trade him or are you keeping him?
I guess it depends on like what somebody's going to give you, but I doubt that a bat only who can't play any position other than DH is really going to fetch anything at the trade deadline. I mean, if you're thinking about teams that are in it, they're probably not looking for just a DH.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've got other things on their that they're concerned about. Because I mean, no. I said if somebody's going to blow you away, sure, but I just don't see that happening.
So I'm with you. That's just my take, and I figure we'll just talk about this real quick right now tonight. But yeah, I'm with you because I mean, think about this: like the Carlos Santana trade with Seattle. I think they ended up getting with the number 27 prospect, who also was like an aged reliever, more or less.
Yeah.
So again, like that's for the people that are saying, like, look at Vogelbach, let's go and trade him. To me, Quintana is a different situation, which is still debatable. We can discuss. But like with this, I'm absolutely keeping him. This is the guy that you have the control, so keep him. This is the team that is going to benefit you next year to have him as well. And if next year you want to trade him, then we can talk and discuss that. But yeah, like as just a DH, you're not going to get much at all. Like we talk about how corner outfielders and and like a first base is cheap, and he's half of that. He's just a DH.
Right.
So yes, you're not trading him because I don't think there's going to be any type of package that's going to be worth it, opposed to just having him on your team for next year at that price.
Yeah, I agree with you. I said if somebody's just willing to give you just a complete flyer, who not even that they're interesting, like just kind of like a guy you mentioned, an older reliever who's probably going to make the majors. Like I don't really have any interest there.
Same. I agree with that. All right, cool. So what else with tonight's game that was good?
Ben Gamble had a double. He scored on Vogel. He was the only run, that Vogelbach hit in. And then Cruz was the only other person to pick up a hit. The rest of the lineup they only had 5 hits that whole second game against the Reds, who decided to make it a bullpen game.
And they don't.
The Reds have the worst. The Reds have the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball.
Right.
And they just went 9 innings and gave up 1 run against the Pirates. Their guy who closed it out, Rayvar Sanmartin, he entered the game with an ERA over 9.
Yeah.
And he goes out and he pitches 2 2/3 hitless, scoreless innings to just shut the door. So it's like just pathetic offensive display. It was bad.
Well, you made this transition easy because I said anything more you want to talk about that was good, and you went right to the right to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was just a pathetic offensive game for pretty much most of the day. So again, I mean, they got no hit by Mike Minor, for 5 innings almost, and then this displayed the second game. It was like I said, it was looking pretty positive at first, but then
Robert Duggar and Rayvar Sanmartin combined for 6 scoreless innings of relief.
Just as you would have predicted. Yeah. Yep. So the first game, Michael Chavis hits the ball. He loves lefties. Second game, it's a righties. He goes over 4, 3 strikeouts. That's just kind of what we're going to get from him. I mean, I like Michael Chavis. That's a guy too. Like Anthony. I don't see him in the chat tonight. Anthony tweeted at us, I think, about the poll. Like, do you want another guy? Do you want to trade him at the deadline or keep him? And I'm keeping him. Like, to me, Chavis I think we know his role. He is not an everyday player. He's a really good platoon guy. He plays a very good first base, by the way. Again, tonight also, it's It's nice seeing someone who can actually pick a ball at first.
Right.
Yeah. So like, I'm keeping Chavis around. He's going to be a nice utility guy, platoon, guy, whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, he can hit lefties.
He crushes. It's not like he hit it. He crushes lefties.
Yeah, I mean, he's very good against lefties, and this team sucks against lefties because it's full of lefties, right? But as far as trading him, I mean, I don't know if any team would even be looking for somebody like Chavis either. So I don't know. I guess I don't these guys that we're talking about trading, I don't really see anybody who would want him anyways.
I can see someone wanting a Chavis, but again, the years of control you have him for and what you're doing with your team, like
trade for him. You're not going to trade.
You want Chavis.
You would trade an Austin. Who was the guy who traded Austin Bryce or something?
No, Austin Bryce is who we just DFA'd. It was
Austin something.
Oh my God. Who was it? Austin.
Yeah, so that's how important of a person we
What's funny is actually he's having a solid season for the Red Sox this year too. But granted, it's to what you're saying, right? Yeah. Okay. Jack Sawinski with the struggles now after we hyped him up about Rookie of the Year. Bad day for Jack Sawinski.
Yeah. But bad 2 games for Sawinski after a bad last game in New York. But this just kind of seems to be what he does. He gets like real hot for a bit, and then he is like really bad for a small stretch, and then he pops off a few homers again. So he strikes out a lot. But I mean that's just what you're gonna have to accept.
At least this time.
I would imagine he gets going again here soon, just because that's been his pattern.
Well, and also there's a way, so there's that.
That's
but
true.
It's a long.
His home road splits are pretty crazy.
It's ridiculously crazy, and this is a long road stretch, so we might see a lot of struggles from him. But I want to say, Ethan did correct us. Thank you, Ethan. Austin Davis is who it was.
Yep. So
thanks. All right. Anything else from this game that you really want to talk about? Again, I guess we can end it with the bad part. Just Josh Van Meter, like what? Why? Why, Jim? Like, what does he do on his team?
He pitches in blowouts.
I saw someone today said he needs to get sent down to AAA so he can stretch out to be a starter.
I mean, he's pitched in 2 out of the last, like, how many games? No, I guess not 2. But twice in the last week.
That's not good.
No, it's not.
And he's not good at that, which he shouldn't be, right? But there's literally nothing that he's good at. Like,
let's see. You're about to have Jake Marisnick and Kevin Newman probably rejoin the lineup, rejoin the roster. Maybe even tomorrow. Neither of them were in these lineup tonight. Okay. So no Marisnick, no Newman. So it makes you think that maybe they'll meet the team in Milwaukee. And if that's the case, then it becomes, all right, who do you send down? One of Van Meter or Castillo's got to be one of them.
Has to be. It's not both.
Yeah, so then it's a matter of who you pick. Van Meter's numbers. I mean, if Van Meter is better on base percentage, Diego Castillo is a better slugging percentage. Batting average is the same. Neither of them seem to play very good defense. So it's basically like, do you want the lefty or the righty? And really, with the way this team's constructed, you may want the righty.
I know. Yeah. That's like, I just want to punch people in the face. Because and here's the other thing too, to go into that, if you go ahead and say we're going to DFA Josh Van Meter, keep Diego Castillo on the team, like his playing time just diminishes even further. And like, does that benefit him? You want to get him playing time. So ideally it makes sense that you want to option him. So he goes to AAA and he still gets playing time. Like he's still developing. He's still hitting the ball and not sitting at a bench and playing in 1 game a week, maybe 2, as a pinch hitter or 1 or something like that. So like it benefits him. So it's like, is Josh Van Meter going to survive another roster cut here because of that?
Maybe.
Come on.
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
I mean, just the amount that he plays, that's I think that's kind of just a good way to look at it. Is if they're picking between Van Meter and Castillo, just look who plays more. Van Meter plays more.
Van Meter. And again, why? Look, he can't hit, can't play first, also can't play second. We don't need him at shortstop. We don't need him at third. He's not an outfielder. So he's the emergency catcher. He's going to be on the team because he can catch and pitch.
Yeah. There you go.
Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer he can stay on here, but I could definitely see him making it past this next cut.
I do too.
Now, at some point, you're probably like G1 Bay is probably gonna like push him off the roster eventually.
Yeah,
just with the way he's playing in Indianapolis, like I can't foresee a situation where like Bay doesn't get called up at some point, just because like he deserves it, right? So that could ultimately be what pushes him off. Yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll know by this time tomorrow if he's made it, another day.
And I feel like he will. But you're right. I mean, obviously with Bay, he needs to be added to the 40-man. So for him to even get called up, someone has to get DFA'd. That's the writing on the wall. Like Josh Van Meter, if he's still on this freaking team at that point in time, like it's got to be him. You would imagine so, unless due to some trades, they can finagle and add them both. But, yes, I would imagine like if and when that happens, which I'm sure it's still going to be some time. But, yeah, but I'm with you. I just see the scenario where Josh Van Meter is still on this team with Kevin Newman and Yoshi. Yeah. Here we go. But all right.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer I can take. I don't know how much longer I can take Yoshi, Van Meter, and Newman.
Right.
Not sure if I can do that.
I'm perfectly okay with Marisnik like being back. I mean, again, like to him, he's going to be a good outfielder. Like we'll have defense. Like we understand the bat.
And he adds a right-handed hitter. And he adds a right-handed hitter in the outfield too, which right now you're forced to play, 2 lefties basically out there.
Right.
Just because you have to.
Right.
So he would help there. But yeah, I would imagine, I don't know if that would mean you send Bly down.
So that's a possibility too.
Probably.
But like the thing about Bly to me, it makes it a little bit different is because of the age. I don't think I'm too concerned about him still like developing per se as like Diego Castillo. Like if Bly sat on the bench a little bit and didn't get as many opportunities now, I think I'd be okay with it. I mean, ultimately you'd rather see everyday play, right? But like to me, Bly doesn't need it as much as Diego, I feel. Especially the way Diego's playing and the way Bly is.
I guess I just feel like you probably only need 4 outfielders.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
Then that means
I don't know, he's got a little
Bly's
first base under him. So maybe
I could see maybe if Yoshi ends up getting DFA'd at some point, then maybe Bly can be a first baseman. I don't know.
Right.
I'd like to see him.
Chavis is playing more second now. Maybe Bly can. Again, I mean, there's so much position flexibility right now. Not that anyone can like play in these positions like good. But
they got a bunch of guys who can play a bunch of positions poorly.
Yeah, like we're talking about Bly to play first base, but he's played it like what 2 games so far? 4, I think at max. If that. Yeah. But anyways, right. So there's some possibilities. But I guess the big news, which we can end on. So the reason that Eric Stout was here and pitched today was because after Roansy pitched a gem, it was announced that Roansy was optioned down to AAA, which of course we know he's not going to AAA yet. He's on the taxi squad for now, but he was optioned down. I'll let you take the floor right now. Just spew your thoughts.
So the team's, saying that this is a way to just kind of manage his workload, right? And we all knew that at some point we'd have to figure out a way to manage his innings because he didn't throw a ton last year. He was going to reach that mark relatively quickly. And so, it would only make sense to give him periods of time where, you kind of shut him down for a little bit. To stretch him out, throughout the course of the season. So I get the idea of wanting to do this. I guess I'm just not thrilled with how Roansy has been handled overall, for the whole season. Like if this was something where he's been with the team the entire year and then they decided to do this, I probably wouldn't be as upset about it, because then the 20 and a third innings that he threw in AAA, that was just, in my opinion, just wasted innings. Like if he only had a limited number of innings to pitch this year, why did we waste 20 of them in AAA? When it was pretty well known going into opening day, this dude's the best pitcher in your organization. Like he was, and like everybody knew it. So that's kind of just what bugs me a little bit. Like if you're going to limit this guy's innings, why did we waste so much time using up innings in AAA, right? And obviously the clear answer to that is service time manipulation, right? They had to make sure that they, got that extra year out of Roansy, so he had to be down for part of April. Now, like because they did that, and they're now doing this, it just kind of makes you even more soured because now you're going to get dangerously close to avoiding Super 2 now. So like you're now manipulating the service time to like the next checkpoint. I kind of asked Ethan to do the math here for me today, but it seems like let's say if the plan is to have him on the taxi squad until the break, give him the break off, and then send him to AAA to have some controlled outings, is what Jason Mackey tweeted out. Then you're looking at probably like an early August activation, right? If you're going to give him like 2 starts or 2 bullpen sessions or whatever you're going to do with him in AAA, that's kind of where you're going to get to. That would put him right at 123 days of service time, which is going to be like right on the cutoff for Super 2. And then obviously if the Pirates want to just make sure that it happens, they could probably just leave him down another few more days and, boom, they just save Super 2.
Yeah.
On Roansy because of this decision. But I think it's not necessarily just this that I'm upset about. It's just the whole way they've handled him all year.
Yeah. So like I'm with you to this part. I think it's safe to say, and we've talked about it, the innings is a real issue. You're gonna have to watch them. But that was my whole issue at the beginning of the year. And I guess so not the very, very beginning. So like at the very, very beginning when he didn't make the opening day roster, right? Mm-hmm. I know I felt, I'm not going to speak for you. I'll let you say it if you did. I thought you did, but I thought you and I both said that we're okay with it because he didn't look too sharp in spring. So not like O'Neal Cruz. O'Neal Cruz was on fire in spring, right? And that was our problem. He did everything he needed to do in AA. He was on fire in spring. There's no reason he wasn't, with the team on April 7th. But with the Roansy, he did need to do in AA last year as well. He got the call up with O'Neal, but he didn't look sharp in spring. And I was like, I can understand that, right? I'm not going to put up that big of a fight for Roansy. But ultimately, he had to make the trip because, then Dwayne Underwood Jr. got injured and he was the only other pitcher on the 40-man that was healthy to even, make it and get called up. So he was forced there. And in that job, that role he was doing, right, which is much like Will Crow and Dylan Peters that time, multiple innings of pitching, he looked good. So there wasn't any, oh yeah, we have to send him back down to AAA so we can work on things. The hell you did. We saw him pitch. You can hide that with O'Neal Cruz because we're not seeing him, right? This guy was in Pittsburgh. You're lying to me. He does not need to work on anything, right? But then they sent him down anyways, and that's when it was all about service time manipulation. Like they're doing this just to manipulate his service time. And my argument was you didn't have to do that. Just keep him here because you're going to watch his innings anyways. How do you get around that? Even though it's not right per se, but it still logically makes sense. You can do him by setting him down the All-Star break, right? We're going to limit his time, right? There's a week off where they're not playing anyway, so why eat up service time then? Do what they're doing now. But the thing is, they did it both times, and that's the problem. Like, had he just pitched throughout the entire year and they're doing this today, I have no qualms about it. Like, you know what? I get it. You're going to monitor it, and yeah, is it right in the big picture? Like no, you're taking away his major league pay, and now he's going back to the, even though he's not in AAA per se, he's getting minor league pay.
Yeah,
that ain't cool, but I also understand it because, I mean, you're not pitching either. So I can understand both sides more, at least at that point in time. But they did it both ways. And like you said, it's ultimately for the Super 2 now. Like that's what we're really, really playing for. And we got then we're going to closely monitor his innings in Indy. I forget how they word it. We're going to closely
controlled games or something.
That's what it was. Yep. We'll have controlled outings in Indy that we can, monitor and such. And it's like, you could do that in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah. And you mentioned a couple things there that really hasn't even gotten a whole lot of attention, but Ethan ended his thread with it today too. But, this is a guy who has done everything that you would have wanted him to do. Like he's having success. He's pitching well. You can limit someone's innings by saying, hey, we're going to put you on just the IL with, just a tired arm, right? Mm-hmm. Tired arm, IL. And then you can, stay with the team. You can, maybe make a rehab outing when you're ready to go, like a quick 2-inning outing down in Indy. And then
you can control those too?
Yeah, you can do all that.
Whoa.
So if you do that, though, he's getting service time, which he deserves at this point. Like he deserves the service time. He is a Major League Baseball player. And the other thing you're doing, too, is you're continuing to pay him like a Major League Baseball player. I mean, my math is probably a little off here, but just like if he takes 3 weeks off of the Major League roster, he's going to miss out on like $70,000. And like for someone who this is his first time making this sort of money, that's a big deal. Like that's probably more than he's made in any year of his entire professional baseball life up to this point. He would be losing that over a 3-week span because of what the Pirates are doing here. So I just think there's better ways to go about it. I'm not a fan of not treating him like a big leaguer, accruing service time like a big leaguer. I'm not a fan of them not paying him like a big leaguer. I said, I get the managing the innings part. I get it. Like you can't just continue to throw him out there every 6 days for the entire season because last year he didn't pitch that much. But there's ways to do it without just feeding into this whole, stereotype that's pretty true that this team just makes everything based around their wallet. And that's what this seems like it's going to be because of them doing this. They are potentially going to save millions of dollars.
Yep. And that's what it is. As we talked about, like they got the air of control by having him down for as long as they did originally. So you've already mastered that. Like you're going to have him for the extra year. Now it's just about being cheap. It's just the Super 2 aspect of it. It's just about being cheap in that. And as we just keep pounding the table with, like, which just bothers us so much out of one side of your mouth, you keep talking about we're going to be player centric or let them dictate and decide based on their performance, right? And how they're doing. And then on the other side, you're doing all the old stupid shit that you've been doing that goes against everything that you're preaching. You've the first two guys, more or less, of this regime that's been called up is O'Neal Cruz and Roansy Contreras. And you've done exactly the opposite of what you've been preaching this whole time. So what message now is truly being sent? Right? We heard the message, but now the delivery, we know it's BS. And that's just what bothers me. If you're saying that like it's things are going to be based and motivated on money, it's like it's about the players. Well, it sure as hell ain't. It's not at all. Like it's 100% fact. It is not. That was a complete BS lie. So now as a player, as a young player coming up, there's no benefit of getting that call up in the last few days of the year, thinking into that offseason, like, you know what? They believe in me. Like they call me up, you know, they believe me. I'll work hard this offseason. No, they're going to screw with me again next year. No big deal. So let me just go report to AAA. I know it's coming. Like it's just, I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. And again, it's not so much that I hate it just because I hate that. I hate it because they're saying a whole complete other thing, but doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Matthew just said it there. Player-centric culture that limits their wages. I mean, that's all we've seen so far. And you mentioned the two main guys here that we've had an opportunity to kind of judge this regime on how are you going to treat your prospects. They kind of haven't done a good job with those first two guys.
Yeah. And again, player-centric. And you want to talk about all this, and then there's Josh Faminer being rolled out every freaking day doing nothing. And it's like, and that guy's going to get paid. That guy's getting paid money, major league money. The whole damn year he's been getting paid to do what? Nothing. And here I am. I got to battle and fight to get sent back down on a bus. Talk about earning your stuff. But anyways, yes, like that's just what keeps bothering me about. I know there's other people that are just really, really anti Charrington, right? And like I'm not at that level. Like I understand both, but like that's just what really bothers me about this, you know, this regime and Ben Charrington. It's that stuff. If he would be honoring what he was talking about, I would still like most of the things he's saying. Well, that's happening. But anyways. So yeah, that's our talk about Roansy. That's where I'm at too. You know, it is. It's just all about money. Like we understand the inning limit is a real thing. For those people that are thinking like it's not, it really is. And Tyler made a good point too. Like for the innings he pitched last year, what he's going to get this year, they could also ultimately be monitoring next year. So you talked about how they could give like a few more days this year to make sure Super 2. They could play the All-Star game again next year because they're going to have to monitor it. Like next year, his limit might be like 140, 150. So you might need a few weeks, you know? So they could ultimately do this again next All-Star break to monitor his innings. And that could be the way they ensure Super 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I think Tyler brought that up.
Just
like, hey, like they're like, they don't have to send them back down again this year. They can just do the exact same thing next year.
Look at you, Jim. So Ethan said not too shabby. 81.2K, not 70.
I was close. So I had this. So I was even closer. I rounded down because I wasn't sure like what he makes in the minors. So I kind of rounded down a little bit.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Good job, Jim.
I was close.
Yeah. So, anyways, anything else?
No, that really did kind of put me in a bad mood going into that second game, but we'll see what happens. There are some people out there who, for some reason, they think that this was all done in good faith and he'll be back up as soon as possible and this isn't going to affect anything. Just, I don't really give this organization any benefit of the doubt at all when it comes to a chance to save money.
Yeah, I think the thing is that reservation is now lost. you could give him the benefit of the doubt. It's a new regime. Let's find out. But we've been finding out. And it clearly is a motivational factor. So I'm with you. At this point in time, I don't give them the benefit of the doubt on that because they've proven me time and time again that it matters. So I'm with you. Okay. Well, now that we're all just sad heading into Friday, anything else we want to talk about? We want to get out of here.
Yeah, I guess let's get out of here. That was a short one day in Cincinnati. They go to Milwaukee this weekend, 3-game series. Tomorrow night is one of those Apple TV games. So don't forget that. Apple TV is where you're gonna have to go to watch the game tomorrow. I don't think you need a subscription for it. You just need to go into the Apple TV app. So, but JT Brubaker, who has been pitching, pretty good lately. So see if he can keep it up against Aaron Ashby, who we lit up last time out.
Yeah. So Brewers are back. We get to see them again, but hopefully we don't see this offense in Milwaukee.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, then with that said, we'll see you tomorrow after the game. Put a smile on your face. Days will get better. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
See you guys.